Beth and Rip's spinoff title suggests John Dutton's daughter will redeem his Yellowstone failures. Beth Dutton, Kelly Riley, and Rip Wheeler's Cole Hauser Yellowstone spinoff officially has a title, and it suggests that John Dutton's, Kevin Costner, daughter will redeem his ranching shortcomings. According to a Bloomberg report, Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff is titled Dutton Ranch. While it's just a title, the moniker has a lot to say about what to expect from Beth and Rip after leaving the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch in Yellowstone Season 5. While Kevin Costner's Yellowstone exit caused screenwriter Taylor Sheridan to close out the original series, many believed some continuation would exist, with Riley and Hauser as its leads. Yellowstone aficionados turned out to be right, with a report breaking the news that Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser would reprise Beth and Rip in an offshoot, as opposed to continuing the original series with Yellowstone Season 6. Still, it sounds like Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff will have a lot of crossover with the original, and its title is the biggest indication yet. While Jones Ranch was formerly known as the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, it was often just called the Yellowstone or Dutton Ranch. That said, Beth and Rip will carry on a crucial aspect of John Dutton's legacy. While he left a massive legacy behind him, John Dutton failed the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. While the ranch had been in John Dutton's family for nearly 150 years, his son, Case, Luke Grimes, was forced to sell the land in Yellowstone Season 5's finale. Case and his big sister, Beth, simply didn't have the money to maintain the ranch. When John died, his children couldn't afford the massive inheritance tax that came with taking stewardship of the ranch, and it left them with few options to preserve what their family fought for. Ultimately, John failed his family. Case selling the ranch to the Broken Rock tribe was a beautiful ending, restoring the land to the ancestors of its indigenous stewards. The ending even fulfilled Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone prophecy from 1883. Still, John's decisions were short-sighted and left Case with no choice but to relinquish the ranch. Ultimately, John's failures lie in his unwillingness to modernize and adapt, unable to turn a profit on the cattle business, leaving his children without a feasible way to carry on his legacy. That said, Beth had the skill to change that, and she showed us how. Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff title, Dutton Ranch, suggests that John's daughter will redeem his failures, like she set out to in Yellowstone Season 5. In the final chapter of Costner's Yellowstone series, Beth points out to her father repeatedly that the ranch's business model, not turning a profit, isn't sustainable. Beth is further frustrated when her father proposes to accrue millions of dollars in loans to lease land in Texas. After the cowboys discover that the herd is liable to contract brucellosis unless they're moved to faraway pastures, somewhere John doesn't have to feed them hay all winter. In Yellowstone Season 5's finale, Beth buys a ranch outside of Dillon, Montana. We get to see Beth and Rip settle in at the end of the series, suggesting that they will continue to live the cowboy's dream. The title Dutton Ranch confirms that Beth and Rip's future is in ranching, and it also suggests the power couple will maintain an important part of their past, keeping Dutton Ranch, while dropping the Yellowstone moniker. If Beth can take her finance aptitude and apply it to a successful business model for ranching that could redeem John's shortcomings as a modern rancher, with her and Wheeler as the new representatives of the Dutton family name in Montana. Yellowstone also told us how Beth could build on her father's legacy exactly. In Yellowstone Season 5, Beth questions her family's main income, wondering why a stake turns such a high profit, yet they see so little of its yield. Joan tells Beth that ranchers don't take home a higher portion because they peddle the cattle, not the meat. Beth immediately has a solution. Beth wants to figure out the repacker that John Dutton says bars family ranches, like his, from making a profit on the cattle they work so hard to raise. As Rip Wheeler carries on the ranching legacy that he helped John build and protect, Rip will surely be more open to Beth's innovative ideas than John, leveraging Beth's finance degree and track record of making million-dollar deals for Schwartz and Meyer. After John's death, Beth can finally overcome his stubbornness and build something that can survive and even thrive where the original Dutton Ranch failed. Beth picks up other ideas, like when she travels to Amarillo of Texas to see Rip in a flashback in Yellowstone Season 5. Episode 10, learning at the hotel bar that Travis Wheatley's Taylor Sheridan, 4-6's Ranch makes their own vodka. When Paramount announced the upcoming spin-off series Yellowstone, Legacy of Ashes, the title alone set fire to fan speculation. And at the heart of the intrigue, Beth Dutton, the razor-sharp, whiskey-wielding daughter of John Dutton, Yellowstone's most feared, beloved, and broken patriarch. This time, the spotlight isn't on the legacy John tried to preserve, but on the ruins he left behind, and the daughter determined to rise from them. The title Legacy of Ashes doesn't whisper redemption, it roars it. It suggests that from the scorched earth of John Dutton's ambitions and moral compromises, a new legacy might be born, not one built on land and cattle, but on reckoning, justice, and perhaps even healing. Beth Dutton, long painted as both the family's nuclear option and its most fiercely loyal protector, is an unlikely redeemer. She has waged war in boardrooms, destroyed enemies with a glance, and wielded pain like a weapon. But in this new chapter, she is no longer the family's enforcer. She is the heir, not just to a ranch, but to a legacy stained by blood and betrayal. John Dutton, for all his grit and iconic cowboy gravitas, failed in one critical mission: preserving his empire without becoming the tyrant he hated. He drove wedges between his children, let his pride suffocate his empathy, and ultimately made choices that turned Yellowstone from a sanctuary into a battlefield. And in the end, despite his intentions, the Dutton name became synonymous with loss. But Beth has nothing left to lose. Her husband Rip, who joins her in the spinoff, is no longer just her dark cowboy soulmate. He is her anchor. The series promises to explore a more complex version of Rip Wheeler, beyond the brand, beyond the barn, beyond the blood-soaked loyalty that defined him under John's rule. Together, Beth and Rip could forge something entirely new. In Legacy of Ashes, Beth returns to Yellowstone after a self-imposed exile. Not to protect it, not to reclaim it, but to confront it. The ranch is no longer a fortress. It's a mausoleum of broken dreams. The bunkhouse is silent. The fences are rusting. Ghosts ride the trails now, and Beth knows every single one by name. But this isn't a ghost story. It's a resurrection. Beth begins to rebuild, not for power, but for peace. She takes in strays, disillusioned cowboys, native youths displaced by legal battles, and the forgotten souls left behind in the Dutton family's war. She opens the ranch not as a private kingdom, but as a kind of sanctuary. And in doing so, she directly contradicts everything John stood for. Through Beth's journey, the show explores what it means to unlearn inherited violence. John fought to keep the ranch pure. Beth uses it to purify herself. She faces Case's abandonment, Janie's betrayal, even the buried sorrow of her mother's death, all with an honesty she never allowed herself before. But the show doesn't let her off easy. Enemies remain. Developers return, savvier and more vicious than before. Political power players still want to carve Yellowstone into a resort destination. And most dangerous of all, there are whispers that a new generation of Duttons, disconnected from Beth, scattered across Montana and beyond, may want to reclaim their birthright with fire and fury. As Beth fights to redeem her father's failures, she must also reckon with her own. Her relationship with Rip is tested when he questions her motivations. Is she trying to fix Yellowstone or atone for the destruction she once delighted in causing? Rip, too, carries ghosts. He begins to see what a life outside of servitude might look like. His scenes with the younger cowboys, particularly one native teen he mentors, offer glimpses of tenderness and regret. He's a killer trying to become a teacher. A man who's finally starting to believe he's worth more than the brand John burned into him. At its core, Legacy of Ashes is about rebuilding, not just fences and herds, but souls. Beth's redemption isn't neat. It's brutal. It's filled with mistakes and backslides. But it's real, and it might just change the Dutton name forever. The title isn't accidental. Legacy of Ashes evokes a world burned down by ambition and pride. But ashes, as any rancher knows, feed the soil. They're the start of something new. Beth Dutton's spinoff isn't about preserving John's vision. It's about transcending it. She was raised in fire. Now she's choosing to build with it. And in doing so, she may finally succeed where her father failed. Not in saving the ranch, but in saving herself.